and welcome to the How to Relationship podcast, the podcast where we try to figure out how do we stay in a relationship, how do we even get in one in the first place, by talking to couples who are making it work. I'm your host, Anais Lucia. So the first couple we have on our first episode is a really great one. I know about them from the husband, Benjamin. He's a really great guy. I met him through work, through acting, and I loved the way he would talk about his wife and his daughters, and I just needed to find out a little bit more about their story. And I really love when men just are like, you can tell they really adore their wives and their children. I think that's so sweet, and I needed to get them on. It was automatic. Like, I had to get them on the podcast. So I hope you enjoy listening to Ben and Cindy's story, and let's get right into it. Okay, so I have Ben and Cindy Phillips on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time, especially because you have your newborn baby with you during the interview. Penelope, does she have a last middle name?
Dawn.
Dawn. Oh, okay. And it's your fifth child?
Fifth girl.
Girl, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Girl daddy.
Yeah. Hashtag girl daddy. So just to, give the viewers a little bit of, background. I met Ben through, background acting. And, I kind of realized he's such a good person because I don't know, just the way I would hear him talk about his daughters and Cindy, it was just so heartwarming. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I feel like it was just so nice to see, especially because I feel like he really, has a lot of love and respect for you, Cindy, and, his daughters. And it was just I don't know, it's sad, but I feel like it's kind of rare to see that nowadays. So that's why it was really, nice and refreshing. And just the way he just treats people in general. I don't know. I just feel like it's not common. So that's why I was I definitely have to have him on the podcast. Thank you for...
Huge honor for me. Thank you.
And I heard a lot about you, Cindy, from him. So it's nice to, get to have you on here too. And, find out a little bit more about you guys. So... Can we talk a little bit about just let's start from the beginning, maybe your backgrounds, what your family life was like, siblings, all that stuff.
Sure. You go first.
Yeah. So I have 3 siblings, and we live in California growing up. My family life was good, but I mean, there were definitely probably not the ideal role models in my life. My dad is autistic, but had never been diagnosed, so he never really got that help to be able to figure out how to handle relationships, I guess, and just interacting with people. So there's a lot of gaps with how he interacts with people that are sometimes pretty severe. So there were oftentimes just growing up where he just wasn't necessarily probably the best example of what I wanted to look for in a future husband, but he was a good dad. He was good. And then I went to college. I went to Cal State Fullerton, and then I transferred over to Utah, and I met Ben at Utah State University my first semester there. And I saw him at the back of the lunch line, and I saw him there, and I thought, I have to meet that guy. So that's
First of all, let me just point out, it's super cute to see just how Ben is looking at you when you're talking. It's adorable, and that's something that we women can we get a guy who looks at us like that? So I just wanted to point that out for anyone who's only listening to the audio. So you need to watch the video version. Okay, so Ben, what about you?
So I grew up in a big family. My parents have 8 kids. I'm the second of the 8, and my only brother was the last of the 8. So I have 1 older sister, 5 younger sisters, and then my youngest sibling is a brother.
Wow. So just surrounded by women. Pretty much.
I always had a lot of girls in my life.
Yeah, they trained him well.
Yeah, I think that definitely helps having a lot of women. I mean, I don't know. My brother is the only brother, and he has 3 sisters, and he has some work to do. So I don't know. Maybe it's our fault. I don't know. But Cindy, you said you had like 3 siblings. Were they all boys or girls or?
So I have 2 brothers and a sister.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well,
2 and 2.
yeah. She's also the second of her family.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. So growing up, I had honestly a pretty ideal family life. I mean, my parents are incredible. Just really, really good examples of what it means to love each other in a marriage and be faithful to each other. And, you know, even when they disagreed, they were always really good about being united in terms of how they addressed us as kids, and just really good examples from them about both how to be a man and how to be treated as a man and how to treat others as a man. And my dad was always a gentleman, and just really, really positive examples about who and how I should be. I think I was a little strange growing up because of that. We're both part of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's our religion. A lot of people know us as Mormons. I think the faith aspect obviously had a large impact as well, just in terms of knowing that we're children of God, and that that how you treat others shows how you see them, and that we're all brothers and sisters. So I think that played a huge part as well.
Did you learn kind of how to respect, women and be a gentleman, all that stuff, like just from kind of observing him, or what, did he ever go like, okay, Ben, this is how you're supposed to treat women, or anything like that?
I mean, I was a typical kid. My sisters and I fought all the time. But most of the time my dad was really good about teaching both by example and by interactions, taking me aside and having one-on-one conversations and things like that. The vast majority of the time it was really positive but constructive criticism, stuff like that. I do remember one time very vividly. She already knows what I'm going to say because I talk about it all the time. But there was a period of time for probably a few weeks where my response to any frustration with my sister was to punch her in the stomach.
This is when he was little.
Yeah.
Like how little?
I was probably like 6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And after a few times of this happening, my dad just showed his displeasure in a really obvious way. He yelled at me and rapped me on the head with his knuckles and said, "You're never going to do that again." And I never did.
I'm sure that was after several times of
it
nicely helping.
It was.
It didn't stick, apparently.
Yeah. But for the most part, like when I was very, very little, I was spanked a few times. But after that, I think that was probably the last time he ever did anything physically corrective on me.
You got the message, or?
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, just watching and seeing his example was enough. I mean, I think people tend to believe you more when you do what you believe rather than when you say what you believe.
Yep. So you said that you were like a weird kid or something. Like, what do you mean? Like you feel like you didn't fit in with other kids, or what did you mean by that?
I've always gotten along well with almost anyone, but I've rarely had close friends, mostly because I got along better with the girls than I did with the guys.
Probably because he had all sisters.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so we grew up watching chick flicks and just what my sisters and their friends would hang out, and I would just sit and talk with them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a lot of what I did. I had really good guy friends too. I had several really good guy friends, but yeah, I mean, I still liked all of the guy stuff, but I think the fact that I was a little bit more vulnerable and less macho made it kind of strange for a lot of the guys that I was around.
Yeah, because they're just like society tells them that like you have to hide your emotions, you can't cry and all that stuff. And like you felt comfortable like with your family and your friends to be able to share your feelings and cry if you ever needed to. Like, did you feel?
Sure. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I didn't cry often, except in movies. I cry all the time in movies. But yeah, I mean, I was having a conversation with a friend I met on set about showing affection as a man. And in my family, every night before bed, we would give each other hugs and kisses. Whenever I would see my dad for the first time, I would greet him with a hug and a kiss just on the cheek. And that was just really, really foreign to people. For a guy to kiss his dad on the cheek was weird. Same thing with, and part of this is that I'm just a more physically interactive person, but I'm comfortable giving people shoulder massages and, you know, even other guys, and there are people that are kind of weirded out by that.
Yeah, I think there's a stigma that like men have to kind of be like islands, like you can't, I don't know, like you can't touch other men, or there's something wrong with you. Like you can't cry, or there's something wrong with you. Like it's almost like you have to like kind of pent all that up and just kind of be your own person, and that's the definition of being macho or whatever. But it's not, I don't know, like that's not that's not how Ben is at all. Like he's very comfortable just like letting someone cry on his shoulder and like talking things out. And he's not like, if the girls fall and scrape their knee, he's not the one that just says get up and walk it off. Like he's very much like, he'll pick them up and he'll just go, oh my goodness, poor thing. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely that stigma that's how men should be, but I don't.
Yeah. And I do every once in a while just not brush it off, but I encourage them just to get up and keep going. But yeah, I mean, if they're actually hurt, there's obviously a need to let them acknowledge that things hurt.
Guys are humans too. They have feelings, and it's kind of sad that like sometimes they feel maybe, you know, depending on how they were raised, that they're not allowed to share their feelings. They have to, you know, let it out in, you know, less productive ways. You know, it comes out in anger because they're not able to express it, because if they do, you know, they're just like, you know, ridiculed or whatever. So I've heard that from other guys too, that like who I think are like really good examples, that they kind of grew up with, you know, parents who made them feel comfortable, you know, sharing their feelings and stuff. Like I did not grow up in that way, unfortunately. I grew up like if you cry, you need to stop crying. Like can't express your feelings and stuff. So I've had to like work through that. So Cindy, what about you? Like your parents, are they still married, or like how is like their relationship? If you feel comfortable.
They are still married. They have quite a tough relationship. I feel like they're often their marriage seems really rocky. So yeah, it's just tough. I feel like because of the autism, there's a lot of like like anger comes out in like crazy spurts and things like that, which is really hard to really be close to someone who will just like burst randomly. Just, yeah. And yeah. I guess
Was your family affectionate?
No. And that's another thing. I feel like, the affection specifically for my dad was a little strange because his filter was just kind of off. And so he would like say, I love you, but like say it constantly in like really weird ways, but never show it by his actions. But he would like, because that's how he felt love, is by telling people.
And he would do things like write, and still does do things like write poetry.
Oh, wow.
That he uses to express his emotions.
Yeah. Aww. And I think that really helps him to be able to express his emotions a bit better.
Yeah.
But yeah, often it was like, we wouldn't necessarily hear I love you all the time. It was very, I don't know.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the
love languages?
Yeah.
Yeah, the love languages.
Yeah. So I think oftentimes having a disconnect in how you hear or show love comes from not knowing how the other person hears and feels love. So for him, the words mean so much, whereas for Cindy's mom, for example, a lot of it is gifts and
for me it was like quality time.
Right.
So he'd say I love you, but like never would like spend time with me and things like that, doing the things that I felt. Yeah. And a lot of that was just that disconnect from, you know, having this state of being that just kind of he just didn't understand how to read people. And so he wouldn't understand how to like bridge that gap to be able to show love, rather than, I mean, all he knew really how to do that is to either say it or write poems. So it was quite interesting. I often felt like I was not loved, but I knew I was, if that makes sense. Like there was just that disconnect that was really hard for me growing up.
Yeah, I mean, he's an absolute teddy bear, just loves with his entire being, just doesn't have a clear understanding of how to show that.
Right.
Oh. Yeah, that's why I encourage people to find out what their love language is. But I find that guys are really resistant. Not all guys, but some, like, they don't like taking tests, like personality tests. I'm like, find out what your MBTI type is, you know, Myers-Briggs, find out your love language, because it'll just help understand people, understand yourself and understand people better. And a lot of guys are really resistant. Like it doesn't make you weak to find that out. Like, it's going to help you, But yeah, I encourage people to find out their love languages. What are yours?
I am extroverted.
Physical touch.
Yeah. I'm physical touch for my love language.
We're talking about love language.
Yeah, I thought we were talking about Myers-Briggs.
No, he's like physical touch. Yeah. What was your second one? You have like two that are kind of
mostly physical touch, and then quality time.
Quality time. I'm mostly quality time.
Then acts of service.
Yeah, I think since having children, I'm more acts of service now. I'm like, you really want to show you love me?
Yes, that's how I am too. My top two are quality time and acts of service. In my last relationship, I didn't know anything about. I hadn't heard about the love languages, so we were completely different, and we were arguing all the time. So. But I found that most guys that do take the test, of their top two, one of them is always physical touch. That's not surprising. I'm like,
yeah. This is why he's like,
yeah. So now let's talk a little bit about, you know, your relationship. Like, okay, so Cindy, you said you saw him like in the cafeteria. Ben, did you see her? When did you notice her? Like, how did all this start?
Yeah, so we met there in the lunch line. I saw her get in line behind me and thought, I have to get to know her.
Oh my gosh, so you guys thought like the same thing? Oh my god, it's so cute.
Kind of first look. What is it called? Love at first sight. Kind of.
Oh my gosh.
Don't believe in love at first sight, but definitely infatuation at first sight.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, we started talking. She actually knew my best friend. Who was in line with us.
I recognized him, and so I started talking to him so he would introduce me, and that worked.
Oh.
So he introduced me, and we talked the entire lunch line. It was quite a long line, which was nice at the time.
Okay.
So we talked the whole time, and then at the end of the line, I had gotten my food and everything, and I looked around and I could find nobody that I knew.
Which was really good for me because I was hoping that she wouldn't just walk off. So I invited her to come sit with me and my friends. And
so at that point, I kind of turned to him, and he kind of turned to me to invite me to sit with him. And I kind of asked him to sit with him at the same time. So we sat together for lunch and with a big group of people. And then afterwards, I had to go to work. So I said goodbye and started walking away.
Quick interruption. During the lunch line, my sister came over and gave me a hug and a kiss. And my sister and I look nothing alike.
No, nothing alike. Not at all.
She's really blonde, like strawberry blonde, really, really fair, blue eyes.
And I thought he was from Chile. Like, I thought he was like dark. He had dark hair. And so I thought he must be Hispanic or something. So they look so different.
Yeah.
It was really funny. Anyway.
Did you think that Cindy was going to think she was your girlfriend or something, like, oh, shoot, no?
Well, I didn't think so. I mean, for me, it was just natural. My sister comes up and says hi. But she thought that it was some girl who had a crush on me or something.
It's like, who is this girl? But he kept talking to me, so I was okay. But
okay.
Anyway, so after we had lunch, I started walking away, kind of like slow motion, hoping he would like catch up.
And I saw her
lingering,
walking away.
Yeah, lingering.
Yeah.
Like.
And I saw her walking away and thought, if I don't catch up now, I will never enter her again because I have no idea where we're going to see each other.
In all reality, I probably could have just given him my number, but I was a little timid. And
so I caught up and asked for a number.
Wow.
And then I didn't do anything with it for a couple of weeks.
Weeks? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'd be like, man, I guess he's not interested.
Yeah, well, I know. I was like, oh, well, too bad.
So my best friend was interested in her first. And I didn't want to cause problems by, stepping on a brother's territory.
See, because he's a good person. He's a good person. Oh,
yeah.
So my best friend was Albert. I had 3 best friends, but that was the one that we're talking about now. So Albert tried a few times to go on dates with her, and she never did. She never was able to go out with him. And I thought, you know what? You've had a couple weeks. Nothing's happened. Had your chance. It's my turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So on the first snow of the year, because we lived in Utah, the first snow of the year, he texted me saying, "Happy Snow Day." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And then we just started having
She had no idea who it was.
But he didn't say who it was. So I was just conversing with him.
I gave her my number too.
No, you didn't.
I did.
Oh, shoot.
Anyway, so after a few hours of talking via text, I finally was like, I'm so sorry. I don't want to be rude or weird, but who is this?
Oh my God.
I was absolutely crushed. I was like, this is going really well. She's having this great conversation with me. And then she was like, who is it? And I'm like, she has no idea who I am.
I hoped it was him the whole time. I did, but it was quite funny. So
wow.
Yeah. So we spent the next couple of weeks getting to know each other, and then Christmas break came up, and she went back to California. And
we just called each other every day, texted and called, and when I got back.
Well, and during that time, we made fun of people for jumping into relationships. So as part of our church, there are a lot of people who go on missions. And the missions last for 2 years. And I was in Chile, which is why she thought that I was from Chile. So I was in Chile for a couple of years, and coming back from South America, I said, I am not going to be in a serious relationship for at least 2 more years. I'm going to date all over the place. I'm going to have lots of fun and not settle down. And then I met her, and
and we joked, we're like, oh, there's so many people who just like jump into marriage. It just seems so weird.
Yeah.
But then I got back from California, and I think we dated another 2 weeks, and we were engaged.
Yeah.
Like, so the total from having met to getting engaged was like
month and a half.
Yeah. It was so fast.
Wow. And now you have 5 daughters.
We have 5 girls. We've been married
So-
almost 11 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So to preface that engagement, a lot of that comes from our faith as well. I believe a lot in prayer. I believe that God talks to us, that it's not just a one-way conversation. And so we've been talking about our relationship for a while. Obviously, a while is not very long in this context. But for a few days, I'd been praying about whether we should get married, whether that was something that was right for us. And one night we were just talking late, just on her porch, and I just said, "Look," just in my mind, "Look, God, I've decided what I want. I want to marry her. Is that okay with you?" And I swear I heard hallelujah choruses.
Wow.
Well, all those babies singing up there.
Yeah.
All my
Yeah.
girls.
And so that was why I proposed right then.
Oh my gosh.
On my porch. Yep. No ring or
Wow.
anything. Just
Oh
a question. So.
my God.
Yeah.
So romantic. They need to make a movie. God. All the girls, anyone who's listening around is probably swooning. Like, oh my God. A month and a half? Like what? Or a month? Wait, how was a month and a half? Or
Yeah.
that's, oh my gosh. That's why I feel like people should not judge relationships, because sometimes like people can be together for a long time and they break up, or they're, they say, oh, they're getting married too fast. But I feel like, I mean, I haven't experienced it, but I feel like those people, like they know, like once you know, I feel, no?
Yeah. Well, and with me, I felt like Ben was just very transparent. Like I felt like I knew him because of how he lived, and I saw his family and how they treated him and how he treated them. And I just felt like I knew who he was. Like he wasn't someone I had to try to figure. I mean, I still have to figure him out all the time, but like I knew he was good. And I knew what his intentions were in life, and I knew where his priorities were. And I think because of that, it took a lot of the mystery out of, like, do I trust him kind of mystery? Like I just trusted him because of all those factors. I don't know. It just wasn't anything I was even nervous about. Like I just knew he would treat me well, and I knew that he would provide for a family, and he would be the person I wanted him to be, because I saw his dad was that kind of a person, and his sisters were those kind of people, and his mom was that kind of a person, and he was that, like it just all fit. I didn't have to like justify him or anything. It was like there was nothing to justify, if that makes sense. And I remember like in high school, I'd date a bunch of guys that I'd have to justify all the time. I'd have to say, oh no, they're just tired today. That's why they snapped at me. Or, oh no, they're just like, this is just something you really, really want right now, or whatever. Like I'd have to justify them all the time. And it was just, it got tiring. Got tired to constantly feel like that person wasn't who I wanted them to be. And yet I don't know, like I just had this low enough self-esteem that I thought it's okay. I can deal with a lot of that because I don't deserve someone perfect, if that makes sense. I don't know. Like,
to be clear, I am not perfect.
But but when
close.
I met him and when we dated, he felt perfect. Like, I don't know.
Like perfect for you.
Yeah. And I didn't have to justify him, which I loved. So.
Oh. And can I find out, when was the moment that you realized like you were in love with this person for both of you?
So, I went with him to a family. It was like a just like a party, like a family party that his family was going to a party, and they had food there, and it was like a Christmas something. So when we got there, he helped he had a 3-year-old sister at the time. And he walked over and he was like, Livy, what would you like to eat? And he got her a plate and he started helping get her some food. And when we went to sit down, he pulled my chair out for me. And then he was just so sweet.
Yeah.
And then after we ate and everything, we went and played with the kids, and he was darling. Oh my goodness, darling. He was like playing kickball with the kids and laughing and just like,
Aww.
I don't know. I just saw him and I was like, he's going to be the most adorable daddy.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I wanted kids and I wanted, the family life. And so I think at that moment, I just fell in love. It was it. And I went home that evening and I was like, I prayed and I was like, if it's okay with you, I've chosen him.
Oh,
So, at that point I was sold.
oh. When that party happened, like how long had you kind of been seeing each other?
Oh, that was after a week and a half.
Oh,
I think.
wow.
Wasn't it?
No, it was 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, because I've
Not
talked to
much
people that they feel like you can't be in love with someone until after a year. I'm like, really? No. I think if it takes you a year, maybe you're not with the right person. I don't know. So Ben, how about you? When did you realize you loved her?
Yeah, I mean, that same night watching how she played with my sisters was, I think, the start of it. But yeah,
He doesn't jump as quickly as I do.
depends on the thing.
That's true.
Just getting to know her over the time that she was in California for Christmas break. We chatted every single day, and sometimes for 4, 5, 7 hours.
Wow.
And there was this bracelet and necklace that I got in Chile, and I got them specifically to give to my future spouse. And a couple days after she got back, we had a date, and I realized that I wanted to give this bracelet to her, and I was like, well, crap, that's that's probably a good indication of where my feelings are heading.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, do you want to tell that story?
The what story?
The giving you the bracelet.
Sure. So we went on a date. The thing was with him, he had asked me on several dates, but there was always a lot of other guys there. And so I thought, and to be fair, they were supposed to be dates, but the other guys didn't get dates and they showed up anyway.
Oh.
So it was a group date, but all these random guys that didn't have dates.
Right.
So I just thought I was one of the guys, and I thought, oh no, now I'm a buddy. I'm not girlfriend material. And so anyway, after several of those, I thought I have to get out of this buddy group and be girlfriend material. This is not okay.
Yeah. So I wasn't always really good at communicating clearly where I was headed. She had to guess a lot, which wasn't great, but
that's okay. So
I thought I was being clear. I wasn't.
So on what I consider our first official date, after we went out with a couple people, and then we went to a park, and there was snow on the ground and everything, and he gave me this bracelet, and I turned to say thank you, and he kissed me, and I was like, oh, I'm girlfriend material. All of a sudden I realized he liked me.
Oh.
I kind of looked at him. I was a little shocked because I didn't even know if he liked me. And he told me he loved me. And I was like, okay, there we go.
Wow.
So, yeah.
You went from I think I'm his friend to no, he's in love with me. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was quite funny. So.
Oh my gosh. I wish I could have seen this. It would have been these are all good movie moments right now. It would be such a good movie. Lifetime, get on it. Or Hallmark, make this movie happen. And you guys can both star in it too. I've seen real couples be in those movies. Let's go. So,
Do it.
and Ben, you're a writer.
I'm happy
You're
to
a
write
writer
it.
too. You can write the movie of your love story, and then you can have all your daughters watch it and be like, "Oh my God, mommy and daddy, so cute!" And then you can star in it and really relive your whole story again. That would be super
amazing.
cute. Just giving you an idea. So give me some royalties. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. After you proposed, like how long until you like got married?
It's about 6 months.
Yeah, our relationship was really fast, so we didn't want to just like get married like right then and there.
Yeah.
But it still was fast. I mean,
6 months
planning a wedding in 6
isn't a
months
long engagement. But
and we weren't
but it felt long.
officially engaged for another like month or two because I was terrified my parents were going to flip.
Yeah.
So we waited until I think we got engaged. Like we were like promised or whatever. I don't know how you say that. Anyway, verbally engaged in like January. And then we waited until March to like make it official. And then we got married in July. So it was still really fast. I mean, if you think about that timeline. But.
Oh my gosh. And you met in like December? Like
end of November.
End of November.
End of Oh wow.
Yeah. So the whole relationship was like, what, 8 months maybe? Was that 8? I'm not going to do math in my head right now.
Yeah, 8, 9 months.
Yeah.
Since you guys seem to talk a lot, did you have all the did you talk about having kids and finances and all that? Did you have all those conversations that you kind of need to have before? Or
I'm sure we had some of them. I'm sure there are a lot of those conversations that we missed, but it was fine. Like we like we figure things out. Like first year
You're still
marriage,
together, so
kind of have to jump into the world of adulthood. So
yeah,
we figured it out.
We talked about a lot of them just on our own, and then someone gave us a book with hundreds of questions to just go over together before we got married, and that was fun.
Funny enough, though, I feel like a lot of the questions were like, we've already talked about this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we just talked a lot about everything. So it was, I don't know, pretty natural to just like have those conversations come up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think part of the struggle that people have in relationships is feeling like everything has to be perfect all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There are times where we really disagree with each other. There are times where we have arguments and differing opinions. But I think as long as you know that you have the same goals in life, as long as you know that the other person is more important than your own pride or the problems that you're going to come up against. Some of the best relationship advice that I've ever received was that you don't share a relationship 50-50. You don't give 50% of you and they give 50% of them. You give each other 100% always. And that's not always going to be even. Your 100% isn't always going to be the same as their 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be completely devoted to each other always. Because if you ever get to the point where you are holding something back, that's when problems start to show up. So I think we both knew that we were willing to give each other all of ourselves. And so when there are problems, when there are disagreements, we know that we're bigger than whatever the problem is.
Awesome. Well, you already answered one of my questions. I was going to ask you about the advice, so thank you for sharing that. Just wanted to ask you guys, like, your opinions about the dating culture today. I don't know if you because you guys have each other, but
right.
I mean, just from my experience and other people that I've talked to, it's like, I feel like it's kind of hard. And in my opinion, and other women's opinions too, it's kind of seems like, I don't know, guys are very lazy. Like, they don't want to put any effort. And I don't know if it's because I feel like dating apps might be one big reason, because it makes them think like, I don't know, like, it's like a menu, like, cool, this one doesn't work, I'll just go to the next girl. It's like, there's no respect really, or like, not as much respect. Like, oh, you don't want to sleep with me on the first date? Cool, I'll just go with the next girl. And I feel like that kind of makes it hard. And I think that's one of the reasons why women are like, where are the good guys? Like, all we find are guys who just want to, like, hook up. So I just wanted to see if you guys had any thoughts about that at all.
Go ahead.
Or have you heard something from your friends, or?
I don't know. I mean, as you said, it's been 11 years since we've been in the dating arena, but
okay. So one of my sister-in-laws was on Tinder quite often, and we always found that if she found him on Tinder, generally speaking, we didn't like him. And I wonder if it was because of that, because it was just like this, it's this app that, like, it's completely almost solely based on looks. Mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes you can, like, click on the picture or whatever, and it tells you about them, and, like, you can do that. But I mean, whether people do that or not is up to them, right? So often she'd be dating these guys that were like, where did you find this guy? I mean, really? And she's like, oh, I found him on Tinder. And we're like, just get off of that. Just get off of there, because, like, she never brought home good guys from that site. So I think, I don't know, like, with the whole dating scene, like, you want to be the person that you
are looking for. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, like, you live your own values, and you'll find people who are living theirs and match that way, you know? So I think a big portion of dating is just being true to yourself, knowing what's important to you and living the way that's important to you, so that you can find people that are also that way. And another thing is just be places where people with your values will be. So if you value serving others, serve, and you'll probably find people that will, be at those same types of places serving, because that's important to you, and you'll find each other that way. You know, if you are religious, be at church. If you love sports, play sports. Like, go to groups and things where people with your similar values will be. And I think that will be so much better than some of these dating apps that's based only on appearance,
Yeah. I think that's probably a really important part. I mean, for us, as part of our faith, we believe in not having sex before marriage. So that wasn't ever something that either of us worried about in the dating process. But,
which I think made it really nice to not have to worry about all that, to not have to worry about, like, does he have kids that he doesn't know about? Like, there was nothing like that. There was nothing like, is he comparing me to someone else or anything like that? It was just like, both of us were pure. And, like, I mean, not that, anyway, that was probably not the right word, but, like, both of us we didn't have to worry about that about each other, because there was no one else, so.
Right. Yeah. And like you said, I mean, it's there's no judgment for others who have different beliefs or opinions than what we do.
But I think it did make it easier to date each other and not have that to worry about at all. Like, that wasn't really a concern.
But yeah, I mean, just in terms of the standard of not worrying about when it was time to have sex with each other, because for us it was when we get married. I think just finding people who have the same values, and I think Cindy's advice was awesome. Just be where those kinds of people are going to be.
Right.
And that's not to say that everyone you meet in those places will have those same values. I mean, I've met a lot of people in my own church who don't always have those same values. And there is always going to be an element of hypocrisy in anywhere you are. So you do still have to be careful, and you do still have to be discerning in how you approach any interaction. But we both knew for our relationship that as we got to know each other, that we were on the same page in those things. So,
Right. And so what would you say to women who, say that good guys don't exist or where no good men exist? What would you say to them? They're
Honestly,
probably
I feel
listening.
like just don't settle. Just stop settling. I think as women, we tend to, I don't know, well, at least with me, I tended to talk down to myself and tell myself I don't deserve better. We do deserve better. We deserve everything that we are looking for. And if that other person isn't what you're looking for, don't settle. Because often, you'll find yourself in like a relationship that's really not healthy and really not good for you. And like, we'll stay in these relationships for much longer than we need to, because we've already determined that it's not a good situation. It's not a good relationship. So I think my advice is just to give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Like, give yourself the love that you deserve from yourself. Allow yourself to know that you are worth more than settling. And I think if we as women just, I don't know, learn to accept that we are worth far more than what anyone else thinks of us. We are worth far more than we ourselves give ourselves credit for. I think that knowledge will help us be able to choose someone who treats us like we are worth far more than anything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I keep bringing my faith into this, but we are children of God, literally. And if you are a child of the most powerful and wonderful being in the universe, you should treat yourself and expect others to treat you in that way. For the guys who are listening, I hope that there isn't the idea that means that you have to be perfect in order to be a good guy. I think one thing that I wish we had more time to talk about was how not perfect I am.
Tell us your worst habits.
Yeah. I mean, there are times where I get frustrated. There are times where I am not always good about serving and looking out for Cindy, and there are times where I'm not who I should be. But I think that there's a baseline that has to be set in terms of you shouldn't ever accept abuse. And that's not just physical, that's verbal. It's not okay to yell at your significant other. It's not okay to throw things or hit or any of those things. And understanding just that you both deserve to be treated with that respect shouldn't be a difficult bar to to accept. Being a good guy is not the same as being perfect. You're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to have faults and flaws and weaknesses. I think if the goal is to be your best, if the goal is to not just be your best, to help each other be your best and encourage greatness in each other, and as Cindy said, not settle for or be accepting of things that are going to hurt you. I hope I said that. Well.
Oh, that was wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Oh. Yes, I definitely don't want people to think that they have to be perfect. I think a big difference is just acknowledging your flaws and just hopefully working on them. I feel like that may be something,
absolutely.
and just having self-awareness. I feel a lot of people might not have that, or they refuse to acknowledge that maybe there's something they need to work on. It's like, how are you gonna become better if you don't acknowledge the problem in the first place? So thank you for sharing that. Can I ask you a couple? These are more like lighthearted questions.
Please.
I have them like, I kind of have them like, just to kind of end on a more like fun note at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to know your Myers-Briggs personality types.
I don't know. What is mine? You know mine.
Yours is ESFP,
P?
I think.
Oh, okay.
And I'm ENFJ.
ENFJ. Okay, so you guys have some similar ones. Okay, awesome. And are you guys gonna have more children?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we have, like we said, we have 5 girls, and I've never felt like we're done yet. And I've talked to a lot of people who, like, when they're on their last baby, they like feel it, like, this is my last one. I haven't had that, and we kind of still want more. I don't.
The funny thing is that people always ask, "Oh, you're trying for the boy, right?" Which isn't the case. I mean, we genuinely just love having kids.
We would love a boy, but yeah, we're not specifically trying for a boy.
Right.
But
it's not like we're going to keep having kids until we have a boy.
No.
We just, when we feel like we're ready to have a baby, we have a baby, and we just are excited to have whoever is sent to our family.
All right.
And they have been so much fun. Like, we really love being parents, and that's, I don't know. So, yeah.
So, and just as kind of a quick addendum, you said at the beginning that you remember me talking about Cindy to you on set and talking about the kids. I think that's one thing that I try to do to be a good guy. Just to let anyone and everyone know that I am very happily married, and that I
don't try anything.
Right. Yeah. Just to set clear expectations up front. Not just because I am proud of them, which I am, but to let people know who I am up front, so that there's no ambiguity or gray area. People just know that I am who I am.
Well, I have to say, I think that's another thing that puts you in the good guy category, because a lot of guys do not do that. I've talked to guys who, for a long time, do not even mention their freaking girlfriend. And then I found out later, like, I'm like, excuse me? Like, why didn't you mention her? Like, now I feel like a freaking jerk, even though it's not really my fault, but at least you do that. So that's one difference.
Right. Well, and not to say I am a good guy, but just to help other guys who might not even think about that, whether for, not having had the example or the role model or whatever, or just not having had that experience. But yeah, I mean, communication makes such a big difference in helping people see you as either honest or shady or whatever. I mean, just being upfront about your relationship helps take a lot of the pressure off of those interactions.
So listen up, dudes. Hope you took some notes.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to know, okay, how was it when you guys had your first child? Did you both cry, or like what was that like? I need to know.
Oh, he was so adorable.
Oh,
he was adorable. So I was like determined to like have this baby without an epidural, like just to go natural or whatever. So when she was actually born, I was still very not there. Like, I was just still in a lot of pain, but he was darling. Like, she was
a warrior, by the way. She was
oh.
He was just bawling, like, holding his sweet little baby. And he's still like that. Like, with every single birth, he's like, don't put them down. Like, if you need to put them down, just hand them to me. They don't need to go in that crib. I'll just hold them. And I'm like, okay, that they're never going to let us put them down.
That's the point.
And that's the point. So our babies are very used to just being in arms all the time because we just don't want to put them down. And he's such a helper with that. Like he just, like we train them that way, but he like does hold them all the time. Like any chance he gets, he holds the babies. So yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. That helps. I mean, I'm sure it probably makes them feel loved because touch is so important for babies, especially at like such a young age. So you definitely are doing a great job. Did you want to say something else, Ben? Sorry, I think I interrupted you.
Oh, no,
you're good.
Okay, one more, just because this is just my own thing. Like, okay, when I go to weddings, not for any like sadistic reason, but I like when the groom cries because to me, like, it's like, I don't know, like, first of all, you don't see guys cry a lot, first off. And then I feel like it's so sweet. And it's just like, oh my gosh, she really loves her because he's crying. Like, if I get married and my groom doesn't cry, I'm going to be like, do you love me? Like, come on. Like, at least one tear. Come on. So I need to know, Ben, did you cry? If not, it's okay. When you got married.
I did.
I was fine. I was totally fine, happy. I don't know. I was fine. And then I looked over at him and he was bawling and I was like, oh, great. And then I lost it. Both of us were sniffling the whole time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, we believe that marriage isn't just for this life, it's for forever. And I was going to be married for forever to my best friend. And it was just the happiest day of my life.
Oh. So, anything else you would like to say before we end this?
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys so much.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Oh, thank you. I get nervous every time I have to ask somebody to like be on any of my podcasts because I'm like, oh, what if they say no? I'm so scared of rejection. So, but thank you. I really appreciate it. Do you want to talk about anything you're working on? You know, your blog, movies. I know we're in quarantine right now, but you know.
Yeah. So I have a blog. So Ben's an actor. Well, both of us are actors. He's more actively pursuing it. I just do it for fun more than anything. But I have a blog. It's www.anactorswife.com. And I just kind of keep everyone updated on what we're doing. We're just what
anyone watching the video, please, or if you're not watching the video, please notice how he looks at her when she talks. So just saying, it's super adorable.
He's much better at talking than I am, and so I have to look at him to kind of finish my sentences for me because I can't.
Not true.
But yeah, check us out on there. Ben is he just got an agent and manager that he's working with to get him more auditions and stuff. So that's really exciting, and we're kind of plowing forward with acting, and yeah, it's all very exciting. So most of the updates are on there.
Yeah,
our big updates. So,
and Instagram that you want people to follow you on?
Yeah, I'm Benjamin Phillips actor.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram as well, an actor's wife.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. I will definitely put that in the video description on YouTube and the show notes if you're listening to the audio version of this. And again, thank you so much for being here, and stay safe and healthy. And thank you just again for sharing, and have a good good rest of the day or weekend and all that stuff.
Appreciate it. You too. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, so that was the first episode of the How to Relationship podcast. I hope you learned something from Ben and Cindy. Thank you again, Ben and Cindy, for being on my podcast. I really appreciate it. If you want to follow them, all the links for all their social media and Cindy's blog and everything will be in the video description on YouTube or the show notes. So this episode was recorded a few months ago, and I just wanted to give you a little update. Cindy and Ben were in a film together called The Thistlewits. It's a short film, and it's actually available on Amazon Prime if you want to check it out and see them act together. You can rent it for 99 cents, which is not that much. So if you are interested in seeing them act together and be super cute in a film, I will leave the link in the video description and show notes so you can check out their film, The Thistlewits on Amazon Prime. If you want to support the podcast, you can by giving us a rating and review wherever you're listening to this podcast. Also, if you want to follow the podcast, you can on Instagram at How to Relationship Pod. You can also subscribe to the How to Relationship Podcast YouTube channel as well and hit the bell for the notification so you can be notified when a new video comes up, because you're not going to want to miss all the awesome couples I have coming up for you. Okay, like, they're amazing and I'm gonna have them on here for a reason. So I hope you come back and hear their amazing stories. If you're in a really great relationship and you would love to be on the podcast to, share your wisdom with all of us, I would really love to have you on. So feel free to send me a DM, or if you know of any amazing couples that you feel like, would be great guests, please let me know. I would love to have them on as well. Again, I'm your host, Anais Lucia, and thanks again for listening to the How to Relationship Podcast.